tarot for you. Let's see here. I think that's enough, don't you? Well, lighting doesn't have to be perfect every time, right? Does it? Okay. My apologies for the shaky camera. I will try to remedy that. Especially for the next reading. But for now, this is what we got. All right, I'm going to keep the tarot fairly simple in pull this time, so. Hey, shh. Shh. Hey, stop. Stop. 5 of Cups. So, the passing of time, yes, we can mourn what we've lost, but we have to remember what we have to look forward to as well, right? Ooh, look at that. And what do we have forward to? To look forward to abundance, the 9 of Pentacles. You know, staying consistent with our dedication, with our hard work. Maybe you have a plan this year, whether that be your nutrition plan, your work plan, your financial plan that is going to continue on your journey or maintain on this 9 of Pentacles, okay? But it seems like you're very excited about it, right? So, you know, saying goodbye to the past might be a necessary thing emotionally. So especially if that does involve like a job change or something like that. They say job change, moving, and a partner or spouse passing or, you know, getting remarried or something like that is one of, you know, the top things that can cause stress, okay? So for that 5 of Cups, keep that in mind that, you know, it might be hard to look at or hard to remember currently, but that doesn't mean that you know, all hope is lost. It doesn't mean it wasn't worth it. It doesn't mean, it just means that it happened. And you can honor that it happened, but like not being stuck in the past, right? And realizing that, okay, maybe it is time to move on, you know, from that chapter, okay? And keep going towards what God has planned for you, okay? One step at a time, one day at a time. That's how you get to the 9 of Pentacles. You know, it's not, it really isn't a big mystery. Okay. You know, you might look like you have the secret sauce, the secret recipe, you know what I mean? But if you do the same things day in and day out, you know, Capricorn style, you know, like if a Capricorn made a gym plan, do you think a Capricorn's going to deviate from that? Probably not. You know, you have to look at it with that kind of focus as if you were approaching a job, something that is paying you, okay? How is it paying you? In time, in emotional health and well-being, in physical well-being, okay? Some people be like, oh, I don't have time to cook, blah, blah, blah. Well, sometimes your body pays the price when you have to rely on others to do the cooking for you, right? Okay. going here. La la la. The King of Cups, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Okay, so that's the water sign. So again, this might be a very emotional type reading for somebody, especially since we did start out with the Five of Cups. Okay, the King of Cups is somebody who's more, in touch with their emotions, somebody who's more simple, not necessarily overblown with emotion all the time, but somebody who can easily be sympathetic and want to lend a helping hand, okay? Hello there in the chat. Please do be kind to others in the chat. Remember to like the video, especially if you're in the chat today, okay? Then we have the Four of Cups. Four of Cups came out the other day. So again, and I think what this is saying is that you really do need to stay tapped into what you have, right? And not worry about maybe the missing puzzle pieces, right? Because at the end, it all still comes together, right? Okay. So let's get some clarification here. Okay, are you trying to flood the comments, sir or ma'am? Whoever you are there. I don't know what's going on in the chat. I don't have any moderators, folks, so my apologies if there's people in the chat that are flooding the comments with repetitive comments. Personally, when I'm in a live stream and somebody does that, I find it a little annoying. And I think, well, maybe they should just go start their own channel. You know what I mean? So, again, focusing on this abundance and the time that you're investing. All right. Again, I will never ask you to make a donation. I only ask for your time. And then if you have to watch a YouTube ad, you're going to, pay using that time. All right. But otherwise, you can return the favor and like the video or consider subscribing to the channel. And remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. Okay, so I will never know, your neighbor will never know that you liked my video. Do you know what I mean? Be like, why are you watching a tarot reader online? Oh, I don't know. Some of it relates. You know what I mean? It's called life, right? Dearly beloved, we are gathered here together to get through this thing called life. You ever hear of it? You ever hear of it? One of the years that I was a cheerleader in high school, y'all, we had a Prince medley that we danced to, and I was so excited to do that. Oh, look at that. 10 of Cups. How about it? See? Thinking about what was lost. Okay, passage of time. Okay, but what we have to look forward to. I'm getting that song. I saw her face. I'm a believer. Okay. So a collective, somebody saw you, you saw somebody, and you're like, yeah, we can make this happen. You know what I mean? And sometimes it works out that way, right? So focusing on what's left, some people might feel like it's, like being picked last, right? But really it's like, oh, well, now we really get to show them something, okay? It is the day of the Epiphany, so maybe that's why some folks are commenting the way they are in the chat. At least in the Christian religion, I believe I read the Eastern Orthodox celebrate that maybe on the 7th, tomorrow instead. But El Seis de Enero, pretty popular in Latin America, I believe, as well as down in the southern part of the United States, where likely there will be some folks that have prepared or are going to be eating up that king cake, right? Now, Judgment. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Yea. Is that why he calls himself ye now? You know? Kanye. I mean, is that really? My mom named me a con, see? Yay. I think I'd be having a little crisis and wanting to change my name too. If I figured that out. At least you didn't get named Sue, right? Boy named Sue. Okay. You know, when others try and exert control, and that's why sometimes people turn away from religion. But that doesn't mean all religions or all churches are alike. Okay. And intercedence came to mind earlier. So if you're somebody who believes in that, you know, praying to the saints for intercedence on events, I would continue that practice. Okay. And the thing is, you realize that that person is a mentor. You know, it maybe seem far removed, but you're really, it's kind of like looking for a mentor. Okay. And talking to your mentor and saying, hey, you know, instead of what would Jesus do? Well, what would Archangel Michael do in this? Ooh. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you didn't want to hear the answer to that? I mean, in the church that I go to, they say, Archangel Michael, defend us in battle. Protect us from the snares of the devil. So, you know, people that got a problem with all the angels and saints besides just what is in, you know, in their hand in the New Testament. We're a New Testament church. We don't really do the Old Testament. Okay. Do you read history books? You don't want to learn about the fall of the Roman Empire? I think that happened about that time. You know, there's whole societies out there in regions of the world where they burn books and they destroy evidence of history. I'm one of those, it should be in a museum types myself, you know. Kind of like old Indiana Jones, you know. It belongs in a museum. Actually, son. Right? Yeah, he learns. He learns real quick about the politics. And then he has to choose a side. Knight of Swords. Somebody could be coming towards you with a message. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. If this person comes at you in a reckless energy, don't let it upset the apple cart. They might be responding because of this judgment that they're feeling or getting, or I don't even know what. Okay, I don't even know what. Trust me, I do not. And it's like and you're like, thanks, Spirit. Thanks for showing me that. I am good for a while. Do you know what I'm saying? I am good for a while. Somebody says, okay. Well, we are in Capricorn season for whoever thinks the zodiac is demonic. They're in the chat. I don't know why you're watching this channel. Go watch some other channel. That's why I don't understand. You know what I mean? So maybe you need to, go start your own church somewhere else. Well, I mean, I don't have moderators, so I don't like to interrupt what I'm doing for them. You know what I mean? It's like, why don't they go start their own channel? You know, are you trying to recruit members over here? What's the deal? What's the deal? When I worked in the bar business, back when I was a young college gal and needed, money to pay my bills and whatnot, I went to work at one of the bars where all the college kids and some of the townies went, and I knew I could make money. Well, one day, there were some folks that came in there, and my manager or the boss, okay, pulled me aside and let me know that the two people that were just there were scouts, if you will, for new talent for their establishment in another part of town, where they pay you to do other things. And he had to, kind of shoo them out of there. And he let us know that this happened every year because at the start of the fall semester, here come the fresh 18-year-olds and whatnot. And, depending on the rules of, your region, especially where I grew up at, I mean, you could get into bars at 18, 19, 20, and not drink. You had to get like a separate wristband or whatever. Sometimes you could get in all ages. So, yeah, there are people that will do that. And it's like, don't you think the folks that want to do that will go into those places and seek that out themselves? Like, why? You know what I mean? But they wanted certain people that they thought they could control, that they thought they could manipulate. That's why they did that. So, unfortunately, a lot of these folks, um, you know, they don't operate too far off from the real seedy seedsters out there. Okay? But they'll slap a religion label on it and say, oh, well, you can't say this. And if you're not saying exactly this in the Bible, you can't comment on it, and blah, blah, blah. And these are the same kind of people that don't even want you to go to school. You might as well go over and live over in one of them countries where they don't have no books. If you want to go and do that, feel free. Go on. They'll suit you up in their little, whatever wearing army of idiots that'll go blow themselves up for nothing. Okay? Because over here, we got libraries and stuff. You know? We prefer it that way. Literacy. What a concept. Page of Cups. Yeah. So again, with this kind of wanting action, somebody could be coming towards you with some immature idea, some half-baked notion of thinking that you're going to want to join up. And the thing is, you've moved beyond that. You're in a different, you're in a different scene now. So, yeah, High Priestess, you're a very learned person. See, she has her laptop there. She's like, oh yeah, I've heard about this before. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, go back to reading my paper. Go back to my work, because exactly these little whatevers will burn themselves out one by one. Why? Because they're trying to feed off of You know, they're not really trying to have somebody educate and bloom. They're trying to feed off of. You know, recognize the difference. Recognize, you know, how fast that can happen, right? Versus what you actually want to be doing with your life. This could also be for somebody who's thinking of starting a family and they're concerned about the timing. This is saying, what this is telling me right now is like, hey, stop it, stop. Is don't jump into it right now. Okay, like there's still time there. Okay, so again, this effort not wasted. Okay. Okay. Because again, that's just the thing. You don't. It's like there's visiting the emotion, and then there's putting an end to the emotion, right? And moving on and saying, "Wow, what a great day we have today." You know, like the other day when it was so nice out, and I did some work outside. And after looking at the forecast, I am glad I did because I got some of the stuff cleaned up, and then we're gonna get some rain, and it's gonna have like a little, like I didn't have to hose it down. Nature's coming in and hosing it down for us. Doing its thing as God intended, right? That's why the people, they've been sitting here waiting, thinking like, yes, hallelujah, thank you. It has come. It has come hither, or come thither, right? Okay. Let's see. Oh my, I did do the Romance Angels earlier today, so I will do a few of the Lovers Oracle here before I close out of this, and I'm under 30, so okay. We can continue on, right? All right, what do we have for the Lovers Oracle? Oracle here. Somebody says over 40 here. Okay. Someone says, I cannot take it anymore. Okay, so this might be part of what they're feeling, sadness in terms of losing you. And what they're seeing is that they want this instead. Yeah. Whether or not they get that with you is up to you, right? Every time I see this woman on TV, her makeup is like, I mean, I know public figures are, photographed more and on television more frequently, but like, do they like travel with their stylist and makeup team? Does the American taxpayer pay for that? Drugs and alcohol. Okay, so some people aren't addicted to drugs and alcohol. They're addicted to plastic surgery and extensions. Just saying. Just saying. Right? So, especially if somebody comes up to you and be like, oh, well, you don't look like so-and-so, or blah, blah, and it's like, well, no, I don't look like Cher, but, Cher's had a little bit of work done. And I don't think she ever, said that didn't happen. You know what I mean? You know, because she's famous for, you know, saying, you know, she stayed away from drugs and alcohol, which, you know, probably overall maybe that's a good thing, but you know, she also had like a man habit, right? And plastic surgery habit. Well, you know, anyway, I'm just saying, everyone's different. Please do what is best for your heart. Okay. So yeah, this King of Cups here. Yeah, if this person wants to come in and upset the apple cart again, I feel like at the end of the day you're going to do what is best for your heart and you're not going to let this person do that, okay? Whew. Someone's saying they cannot express themselves. That's why there's this page of cups here. That's why there's the four of cups here, because it's like it's stunted. It's you know, not really fully fledged, things of that nature. Okay, so you know, in the middle here you have, you know, again going back to the Nine of Pentacles and the King of Cups. So, you know, it's kind of like you have everything you need, right? And then there's going to be bookends, you know, the past and the future of saying, like, oh, well, wouldn't it be nice if only, and then the past, if only, well, you can do that all day if you want to, or you can get back on track and say, well, okay, now that we went through that, right? I'm gonna have to get my oil changed, you know, and somebody could be like, oh, well, so and so used to do that for me. Okay, well, now it's your turn. You know, get on your little phone or on your little Facebook application or whatever it is, right, and look somebody up. You know, like I said before, with you know, Capricorn in the gym, you got to treat it like a job. All right. I'm getting that Sting song. I think it was a Police song though. La 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 la. I'll be that something at your window. Is that it? I'll be. I don't know the lyrics to that one. I know how it goes, like musically, but because it's like dun 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 dun. Somebody says habits suck. Yeah, I mean sometimes that's what gets us in trouble, right? And maybe, you know, and you know, maybe for you it's not drugs and alcohol, maybe it's caring too much about what other people think. Maybe it's maybe it is, you know, every time something goes, you know, there's any trauma, or it's like maybe, you know, it's like, well, I got to go to my local watering hole because blah blah, because that's what I've always done. If it's an option, doesn't mean it's the only option, right? And I don't want to place judgment on people, especially in those kind of situations, right? But you know, most folks with a little bit of sense, right, realize that you know, it's not a place necessarily to get stuck in, right? So, and that's why this came out. This, I can't take it anymore. Okay. And this might be what this person is discovering, because if they're using those other things to cope as a coping mechanism, right? Are they actually expressing themselves? Or are they hiding it with plastic surgery, with you know, drinking too much and not really ever talking about the problem, well, yeah, I went and talked with my buddies. Well, did you talk about such and such? No, we talked about the game and we talked about like everything but, right? Sometimes folks have a hard time, talking about those things, right? And then when they take the band-aid off, they realize it's like, ugh, you know, and that's kind of in that, the gooey stage, right? When the caterpillar's already in the cocoon, but it's like all gooed up. It's like, oh, I don't even want to say anything because everyone's going to judge what I say. Back when we didn't have all this internet stuff, people said all sorts of shit, right? And nobody thought nothing of it. Okay. 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 Realize that. Realize that. Because some of these folks, they want to be your analyst, okay? And they want to pump you full of their drugs, and they want to have control, or they want to have religious control, or whatever it is. Think about your autonomy and independence in 2026 and what it looks like for you, okay? Because that might be a judgment that other people don't understand. All right. And I'm not saying you can't be happy with somebody else. You most certainly can. Right? But don't forget, you were already on that path. Like that person didn't necessarily pull you onto the path. You were on that path. Okay? Somebody in the chat says they feel people don't deserve to know my inside independence. Yeah, there's a lot of good YouTube content about hyper independence and that itself being a coping mechanism or a defense mechanism that isn't necessarily healthy, right? So learning to work with others, learning to trust others, things of that nature. Yes. That might be something where you go through your own judgment, and you have to do that one step at a time. But that's going out there and doing the work, right? That's maybe going to a counselor. Maybe you don't need a pill. Maybe you just needed somebody to talk to that, you're like, oh, la, 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 la. And, have you ever gone to some of these counselors and you're like, oh, la, 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 and they're like, oh, yeah. And you're just, and they're like, yeah, that's not like, you realize how common some of these things are, right? But somebody else wants you to hang you up on the fucking cross like you were goddamn Christ. Like, sorry, that happened a few centuries ago, if not millennia. Have you not been counting? Who's that guy on Sesame Street? Whoa. Quick, how many cards am I holding up? Yeah, and there's lots of movies about this as well as the fancy paid analysts. And, oftentimes in the movie, they're sitting there bored, right? This person thinks this is just the worst thing in the world, but, the analyst is just like, right? It's only when they pump you full of drugs that it starts to get interesting. Anyway, boredom is good. I completely agree with that in the chat. I don't think kids today experience enough boredom. They are overstimulated by television, internet, and by school activities, I believe, as well. Because there's been an absence of family time around sports schedules, when kids their focus should be learning things in school, not just how to run up and down a field to win. Anyway, Yes. So a plethora of ideas out there. How are you going to be spending your 2026? Okay, what are you calling judgment on that you're giving it up? You're like, go hang that cross somewhere else because it ain't get hung on me. Right? I'm stepping towards this. I'm stepping towards my destiny. I'm stepping towards my happiness. I'm stepping towards keeping my happiness. Right? Well, maybe your school didn't teach you that, but my school taught me a lot of things. Anyway, I went to multiple schools, you know. Because I am a firm believer in education and higher education at that. Whether that be community college, 4-year trade school, tech school, or military training for that matter. To me, those are all areas of post secondary education. I mean, some people don't get to that until they get put in jail. Then they finally get their GED, or they finally, learn something at the college level, and then they're surprising themselves and saying, "Wow, I had a lot of capabilities, but maybe I sold myself short a little bit." Right? You can't let other people's judgment stop you from going after what you want, what you know you have inside of you. Okay. All right. Remember to like the video, especially if you've been in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye.